to them. And that way they can get to feel and interact. Initially, it feels like, whoa, what is this? But then once you get the hang of it, it just becomes another norm. But good question.
Be what we consider not normal and maybe unpredictable. So how do we ensure the safety of the robot and the children as well, and make sure that the interaction is safe? So how are we ensuring that?
It's such a deep question, and which includes abuse as well, abuse of all kinds, including physical and sexual. And you have zero visibility. And after that, the child is not even in the ability to communicate back to you what has happened to them because they're not in the mental stage. So you as a parent, you are trusting your own blood and flesh to someone whom you completely do not know, and you trust them, take my child away for the day. So what the robots do, they can actually observe what is happening. That's a good role. So, so you are getting that completely at the mercy of a therapist who cannot, because the child cannot even communicate back to you. Because the child is not in the mental stage. There are two kinds of special need children. One are verbal, one are completely not verbal. So when I took this robot to Kuwait Autism Center, we were faced with two scenarios, and the CEO said, Mr. Mirza, how can you handle my non-verbal? Non-verbal means children cannot utter a word, completely silent. When the children, in Arabic it says, how do you feel today? So think of a scenario, a child comes in and robot welcomes and says, how do you feel today? Right? So you have four options here, and this is a globally very well researched curriculum. In the European market, it's called zones of regulations, and in the American market, it's called REACH. When I say American, I mean North American. And they kind of follow the similar pattern. So there are usually four stages, and you look at the pepper screen, there are four colors. There would be blue, green, yellow, and red. So the idea is to be in the green zone where the child is fully alert and being able to talk to and communicate and relate back and forth. So the objective is to bring the child from any of the other stages onto the green zone. So a blue zone is when a child wakes up in the morning and they're lethargic. They don't really feel like going to the school. They don't feel like doing anything else. Green zone is when the child is fully alert and they are fully functional. They're very communicative. The yellow zone is when the child is a bit edgy, kind of like who wants to pick a fight. And the red zone is when the child is completely full-blown angry and they want to pick a fist fight. Now, there are certain activities that we can do, and therapists, that's all what they do. They redirect that energy by using a certain activities. Activities could include listening to music. That might calm them down. Doing Lego building. Would you like to play? Just that certain activity that helps them calm down. So the objective is to bring from red to yellow to green, and likewise the other ones as well. So that's the non-verbal part. So here you have enabled, with the help of technology, you have enabled a completely non-verbal child to be able to communicate, to express how they feel, so that there could be something done with it. Right? You see the power? You see the power in that? Amazing power. Right? And likewise, so I wanted to show you how can it help me, right? That's me. So feel free to come in, and I'll handle some more questions. And I do want to volunteer. If you guys don't volunteer, I'll volunteer somewhere. Give me difficult questions.
For example, if child wants to shake the hand,
right,
and the machine grabs it, and vice versa, because these kids are always kind of erratic in behavior, and sometimes like the child kicks it, and I'm sure, I don't know how much is the cost of it, but must be an expensive proposition. The there must be some sensors or something of this type. One, can answer that. And the second is that I don't know whether this is a new thing which has been recently launched or it's already all over the place, especially when we talk about the GCC, where we have a big number of kids with this kind of special requirement. Do you have the patronage of the Kuwait government? And if we want to have kind of a government-to-government start taking this technology along with this equipment to Pakistan?
Right. So great questions, loaded questions, but I'll address all of them. So yes, you are right. I did not answer that part. So this machine is fairly robust. It does. It's not foolproof. It's not unbreakable. Everything breaks. This is a machine at the end of the day. If you do kick it really hard, it will break. But for the extent of when we're talking about special needs children, there is a reason why it's called spectrum, autism spectrum disorder. Now, spectrum means from 0 to 100. This is not a solution for one size fits all. It does address some parts of it, but it does not replace everything. We all have limitations. I have limitations too. I can run from here to that door, but I cannot run from here to 100 meters, for example. Right?
I think you can run 100.
Really? You're such a kind guy. You're wonderful. You have more faith in me than I do. So this is fairly robust. I mean, children can actually push it hard enough as well. So this can take a bit of abuse as well. When you come in and shake hands, it will never grab your hand. However, it will grab your hand a little bit just so that you feel that there's a connection. Right. So there's quite a lot of robustness built into it, but yes, it is breakable. And another important thing and then we can help them to come up with a solution. And that's the better way of doing that. To Mr. Ambassador, to answer your question, whether this technology can be taken into Pakistan and is it okay to work here? This is a global organization, what we represent. SoftBank Robotics is publicly listed organization in Tokyo Exchange. So these solutions exist everywhere in the world. In Kuwait, we are the only one who have brought it in here. Not many people even know. We are going through the awareness stage of it. How many people actually knew before attending this session, how many people knew that such technology existed? Please raise your hands. None, right? Okay, well, you know because you knew that. Perfect, excellent. 2 people. And you have seen this in my previous seminars. He writes a book on technology. He's a digital guy. But great. But very few people. Imagine about 90% of the people had not even heard that such technology exists. So this is only a smaller group of sample size. Country of Kuwait has about 4 million people. So there's a lot of awareness is required. So I do want you guys to go ahead and spread the word. Sir.
X, she or he is very angry, and for 2 days she's putting the same data. Is the robot learning on it and separating the data that this child is angry and this is okay, this is cool?
I'm so happy that you asked this question. The short answer is yes. So this robot, even though I said looks very innocent, but there is a truckload of intelligence happening inside. This robot can actually read emotions of humans. So if it sees if Naeem is happy, it will respond to me in a different way. If Naeem is sad, it will respond to me in a different way. There is facial recognition things built into it. So it sees the emotions and then responds accordingly. And then the analytics part is what you were asking. Yes. So there are various students or children come in, or humans. Like I said earlier, we are talking today only specific to the autism part, but applications on the other technologies are humongous. As a matter of fact, we do have a lot of use cases ranging from retail, hospitality, healthcare, and whatnot. So feel free to come and test it as well. So the way that works is, let's say you used an example of 5 children and who have. So it does keep track of who is communicating. It has a database in it. It keeps track of it. How is the child progressing? And then there's an analytical mechanism that you can actually put a report onto it and say, how is the track record happening? That gives you the progressive path, or how is the child progressing, or so that you can actually accommodate the right behavior to that. Because it's a teamwork. So we develop the technology part, the therapists are the experts on autism, and then we marry the intelligence that we have gathered through the machines, and then we take collective better actions on it. Brilliant question. Glad that you asked.
I made a example, Charles Darwin and Thomas Edison and Einstein, when nothing was there.
Correct.
And now with this, we will see more Thomas Edison, more Charles Darwin. So how it was going to be? To more intelligent people, it will produce help to get it, or
the next Thomas Edison, because they are there, they are diamonds in the rough. You phrased the question very eloquently, that those diamonds were discovered when there was complete denial of autism. Even today, when we go back hundreds of years, times of Edison, it was complete denial. There was ship of fools. I don't know if you have heard of this story of ship of fools. What they used to do is anybody who had special needs or some behavior that people would not understand, what they used to do is they put them all in a ship and sail the ship to the ocean with no destiny. That meant they are sending them one-way ticket to hell. There is no coming back. This is it. That was called ship of fools. If you Google it, you'll find it. That practice was very normal in European markets. It was called ship of fools. And that's how they used to deal with children or people who the masses could not understand what are they going through. And they said, well, let's ship them to the ship of fools. Imagine. How many of us have seen SMS come and go? How many of us has heard fax machines? Right? In our lifetime, it came and went away. Truckload of technology came in and went by. The internet itself is a 30-year-old phenomenon. Do you realize that? Before 30 years, when I was in university, I felt so special that I had a Cray computer, supercomputer access. Just having a user ID and an email. I felt so super special. The university had one of the only 6 Cray computers at that time. We felt super. Do you have an ID? Today, can you even imagine somebody not having an email ID? Kind of hard, right? So it's the possibility, and what excites me personally is what bright future holds. The possibilities are endless. So either we can get out and do something, or say, nothing will work. You know, the two shoes. I love sharing this example. 2 shoe salesmen go to an island where nobody wears shoes, and one shoe salesman comes back and says, guys, in an island where nobody wears shoes, I'm not going to be able to sell any shoes there. The other one comes and says, guys, can you believe in this island nobody wears shoes? Send me all kinds of shoes, I'm going to sell it to everyone. And that's the art of possibility. And that is the tip of the iceberg that we are sitting at. Do we simply exist in our life because God made us and sent it to planet Earth and then sent it to Pakistan House today? Or maybe He sent us with a purpose. So that's. Did I answer your question, sir?
yeah. And also for social responsibility that you have taken up, mashallah. I wanted to ask, like if say a school in Pakistan, like Fountain House or Kehkashan, or institution, be the government or private, if they want to, have one robot of that type, like, is there a mechanism from which they can actually procure it, or is it still like just like not in the market, or just representing it as an example?
So short answer is yes, they can procure it. We'll be happy to sell it to them, and talk to us. We'll be happy to. We can cover Pakistan as well. No issue. We actually cover the entire Middle Eastern Africa region. So talk to a top man, we'll be happy to.
Okay, so to also provide like after sales services like
100%.
maintenance,
100%. Yes, sir.
training.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of questions.
Please do.
My question basically derives from what he raised, that it's about finding other Elon Musk as well. But if you talk about children with special needs, there is, though a lot of research work is being done regarding their behavioral patterns and what the major study about them is that they do get attached and they do have the dependency, be it the therapist they get used to. And if you talk about this reward, if you talk about PEP or any such technology facilitation for them, is there any study that how are they going to cope up? Because if they're not going to have it for, with the life throughout the life. So if they're done, for instance, if they were used to of this reward for 5 years, what about after that? And what will be their behavioral patterns? How will they cope up in the real life?
Very good question. Very excellent question. Excellent question. So it's important to recognize that there is no cure for autism. The only way that you can deal with it is you kind of mitigate that risk. And the success, if you ask the question, what does success look like for children with autism? Success for them looks like that they can, you want to be able to enable them so that they can be self-sufficient. When I say self-sufficient, they can make themselves a cup of coffee, they can go to the bathroom themselves, they can maybe boil an egg. So things like that. So that they can do the basic things that we take for granted. That's a success for autistic children. Now, there has been already tremendous amount of research that has been done to get, and those therapists, I have high respect for those therapists that who have dedicated the time and energy and efforts. That research has reflected is how do you enable that, get the child to a certain state so that they're self-sufficient, over until it becomes second nature to them. And that's what the robots do. Now today, how it happens is a child with a special needs, we're all humans. I know at my work, if somebody does not listen to me 2 times, I get upset. What's wrong with you? Anybody? I'm sure we all have people reporting to you. Anybody who does not get after 3 times? People are small limit. So I'm actually very patient. I tell my children, I have 3 kids. I tell, your dad has a threshold at home of 7 times. You can ignore me 7 times, but 8th time hell is breaking loose. So they know it. The younger ones, they push me to the 7th time. They keep track of it. I said, Baba, this was number 6. Why are you getting upset now? But at work, it's a different scenario. At work, it's 1 time every too many. So that's the applied behavior analytics. And that's exactly, now we as humans, we have a certain threshold. Robots don't have that threshold. Robots can communicate the same message with the same accuracy, with the same passion and same excitement thousands of times. And that on the receiving edge, or the receiving end, a child can receive those messages and in pleasant mood. And so your objective is to keep on drilling that over and over again without losing your mind. If you have not been there, please do go there. That cafe is completely ran by autistic children. And the objective is, the thought process behind it is to enable them to be self-sufficient. So once you have drilled that applied behavior analytics over and over again, you have mastered or enabled them to become the master of a certain task. That's all what they do, day in, day out. So the way globally it is being handled today, to the best of what is known to humankind, is to really create their separate communities where they can relate to each other. And those communities are monitored, so that we can support them and enable them. Because there is, like I said, there is no cure for it. The only thing you can do is really manage that to up to a certain degree. Even Cafe 321, there are people like us who actually also supports them. So
the autistic kids. So even in the developed countries, they don't build the robots to handle autistic kids. They have humans, they handle them, they take them out. That's why I think it will take time. It's just a beginning, and then you're just introducing. And even in Kuwait, I don't think the autistic society they are going to have this very soon.
Mr. Dahar, you are addressing a very valid and very pragmatic situation. Yes, we are at the age of infancy. And remember, I'm the second kind of guy who went to Ireland and passionate about it because I see how mammoth of a problem this is. It's an ocean to boil. But we got to start somewhere. To add that, when I took this robot to Kuwait Autism Center, they were head over heels. They were like, whoa, something exists in Kuwait. And they were saying, why did you not talk to us before? I had a presentation yesterday with another forum, and we had a number of royal members in that audience. We had people from Brazilian society, people from Canadians and Americans. They were amazed by this technology. And they said they want to bring us in for talking, giving educational seminars for the universities. They also want to support the awareness of it. Because there is way out. Right now, people have been completely denial. They have been putting their blinders on saying, you know what, I'm in complete denial. I don't have a child who has autism. I'm in complete denial. Do not even talk to me. They will disown their own children. And then you know what? What control one has if they have a disabled child and they're born in their family? We are highly educated people. What control would you have if God gave you a disabled child in your family? You have zero control. Only thing you have is you have to live up to your expectation, you have to live up to your responsibility. That this is your child, you need to live up to it. One should not disown their child. But because they do not know any better,